out in those conditions the whole night just to get inside, just to take notes. That's crazy.
Yeah, it gets a little cold.
Yeah.
Not the best sleep I've ever had in my life.
No, I hope you can
So
sleep
it has
very
been
well
a blessing that so many folks just stepped up of their own accord, volunteered to line sit. They've taken on the entire coordination of that. It's a godsend because I don't have the time or the mental space or the access to my devices to really be able to coordinate something like that myself. We're not allowed to have our cell phones in the courtroom. And the way that the court is administering the trial process, we run the risk of losing our place in the courtroom at the breaks. So you can't leave. You can't like leave the line to go and get your phone. So this is just, it's created a lot of impediments to be able to give updates, to be able to organize things like this. And I'm very, very grateful to all those people who have stepped up and taken off some of that burden.
So I can see in the chat some people aren't actually aware of what it takes to get inside that courtroom. So how many public seats are there? What time do you all the line keepers need to actually start lining up to be able to get a chance to get one of those seats?
So there are 24 seats that are allocated to members of the public. And when to show up, it has really varied. It's been all over the place. People have shown up as early as, I think, 8:30 the night before. Some people are there camping out all night. When I was first showing up, I showed up at like 4 o'clock, and I very nearly didn't make the cut to get in the courtroom. So people are showing up quite early, and it's just, I kept thinking that maybe as time went on, that the interest in this part of the trial would fade a little bit. Everybody certainly wants to be there for the opening statements. That's where you get the big picture view of what the case is going to be about. But then when you get down into the real nitty gritty details, a lot of that time, the time with stuff like that, it's more of us like hardcore people who are going to be most interested in that. So I did think that we would potentially lose some of that interest, but it just doesn't seem to happen. It's been very consistent. Pretty much every day there are people that have shown up and lined up and are able to make it into the courtroom.
Oh my goodness, that must be the worst feeling ever. Am I lining up and getting in? Imagine lining up.
Oh yes. If you got there at 5 o'clock and you're standing out in the cold and you're miserable and it's all for nothing, that's got to be devastating. I've been very close to that line a couple of times.
That is bad. Grizzly Cat's reminding me, line sitter. So if someone wants to line sit for you, how do they do that?
So there is a link over on Sign Up Genius. If you go to my channel, it is in the channel description. You should be able to locate that. If it's not there, just go to my last live stream and it will be the pinned comment. We're trying to get that out and get some visibility to that so that folks who want to help out are able to do that. There's similar setups also happening for Lawyer Lee. She's another YouTube attorney who has been here covering the trial. I know Lauren at Hidden True Crime has line sitters getting arranged for her as well. So lots of folks that are hoping to have some help so that we can have at least a little bit of sleep to help us be attentive and take our good notes and still be able to come back and get online and share all of those with you.
And you have to sleep in the car, right? Not you can't when you come from the hotel where you're staying to. If you have a line sitter, are you driving it? Do you arrange time at the DELPHI at 7 or 8? Or do you like sleep in the car outside the courthouse?
Yes. I've only had to sleep in the car outside the courthouse one time, and that was actually the first day I showed up before I knew that there were going to be line sitters. I think this was Tuesday or where we're at and how far we still have to go.
Sophie, you want to watch this? You want to listen to these ladies or no? Yeah?
That's my expectation of where we're at. How is it going, man? It's day by day. It has been a real ping pong match. Some days it seems like the state has just done a fantastic job of laying out these circumstances, and it sounds very incriminating. You're just not sure how Mr. Allen is going to be able to explain that. Then the next day, the defense has a fabulous day, and they're able to point out problems and discrepancies and challenge some of the assumptions and really begin to question the foundations of the state's case. And then the next day, that maybe the defense shoots themselves in the foot, and the ball swings back into the state's corner. So it's been a real roller coaster. As far as where we sit right now, my impression is that there is still a lot of trial to go, but the state has not presented anywhere near the strength of a case that I think people might have hoped for. And that's not always the state's fault. They're not in charge. They have some control over what the evidence is, of course, just with what they collect and in their processes and so forth. But to a large degree, whether there is evidence available for them to recover is out of their control. They just get what they get. So everyone would have liked DNA. Everyone would have liked, more. More detail, like if they could find things like that, online searching, evidence of premeditation, things like that would have tended to substantiate the case and made it a lot stronger. But we don't seem to be getting anything like that in this case. So at this point where we sit here, for me personally, we're still in reasonable doubt. I think ultimately much of this case is really going to come down to those confessions and the details that Mr. Allen has in those confessions, the circumstances in which those confessions were produced, because it may just come down to a judgment of, is what he is telling law enforcement truly information that only the killer would know? If so, that is extremely damning. That is very, very hard to overcome. It's, likely to be game over for him. But if it's a situation where he has been fed information in the course of a suggestive or coercive type of interrogation, if it's a situation where he only begins to suggest details after the discovery has been provided to him, so he knows now what those details would be to communicate. If it's a situation where he guesses 10 times wrong before he then, on the 11th guess happens to land on the right answer, those are not going to create nearly as compelling a case for him actually having inside information about how the murders were committed. So a lot of case still to go. I think that the state still has some work to do if they are hoping to get a conviction here.
Right? I mean, from the outside, just looking in, of course, to your notes, listen to everything that you're writing down. It's like, hey, no DNA, there's no murder weapon. They don't really have him on that bridge guy video. They don't, like, what do they have? I mean, what do they have against this guy? The unspent round? Seems like a very weak case from the outside. It seems like a lot of reasons to doubt. And I think from what you've reported, the defense sometimes they manage to just get the door open just a little bit to start introducing it. The thing is, because imagine being on the jury. I mean, they would know, okay, so right now, in 2017, and they arrested this guy. mean,
Hello, Debbie.
I mean, if I'm on the jury, I think, well, man, that took a long time. Probably the right guy. But then again, you hear all these things throughout the trial. Like, what is going on here? Like,
There's some
spoke
good
yesterday
footage
about
of her in the beginning,
you
Debbie.
break? Okay, so okay, you guys. Better go check. It's
Oh.
enough.
He did not have a good day on the stand.
Say hello to
Some
Debbie.
of the law enforcement witnesses, some of them have been excellent. They've been very credible. They provided very, very valuable information. But some of unfortunately, in the leadership of law enforcement, they've really fed into this perspective that this is potentially a tunnel vision investigation, that this is less of a situation of following where the evidence leads and more identifying somebody as a suspect and then going in and trying to find evidence that they can make fit their theory of the crime. And that just becomes increasingly more evident as we hear more about the details of what they actually did in this investigation, the steps they took compared to the steps they didn't take. And it also is that's against the backdrop of just how little we still know about what actually happened here, what actually happened to Abby.
Yeah,
Libby
Debbie,
on that
she
day.
ain't.
So it's the state's having to provide a theory,
She
and
ain't.
it's just difficult to reconcile
She's ready
what
for
we
bed.
see with the state's accounting of how this would have taken place.
You ready for bed?
Lieutenant Jerry Holman, if you guys don't know anything about the case, by the way, I should have said this at the beginning. You look in the description box, why don't you use it? So I think it's a playlist and of course you got the animated channel, so I can see everything that's happening in the file. It's put up there, but here's what the investigation. Like, really wanted to spend $10,000 to analyze the bridge guy's height. I mean, it doesn't know the height of the bridge himself.
Yeah,
Not really testing the DNA of the hair.
critical piece of information for identifying Bridge Guy, the height of the man on the video, and it's so critical because Richard Allen is distinctively short. He is. I was surprised. I mean, I knew he was not average height, but the impression you get from him the first time that I saw him, it was overwhelming. I was surprised at how slight and small he is. I realized he had more weight on him and stuff at the time, but he is a very short man. And so that seems like a very, very critical detail that you would want to have to assist you in confirming that identification of Bridge Guy. And so when they don't do things like that, it leads to the question of, well, are you not doing that because you don't want the answer? And that's what tends to make the investigation look so skewed and look less honest. Like it's not an effort to get at the truth, but just an effort to only find the things that will potentially implicate Mr. Allen and then ignore everything around the periphery that could tend to contradict that.
He's 5'4". For everyone asking, he's 5'4", and the original description had Bridge Guy was 5'6" to 5'10". They would
What a
help
lazy
if they
day
$10,000
with her
just
today,
to make
Debbie.
sure they get it within 2 inches or so, just knowing what's the height of this guy.
Mm-hmm.
Could you tell us a little bit? I know everyone's dying to know, especially if they haven't listened to audio content. Can you tell us about this Bridge Guy video? Because I believe you've seen 2 versions of it, and it sounds very interesting. So after all these years, when they first showed that video, what did you see?
Yeah, so we did see 2 videos. What we saw was the original raw video as it was pulled off of Libby's phone, and then we saw an enhanced version of this video that law enforcement says they basically stabilized it, so it removed motion from that video. It's the enhanced version that they used to then essentially screenshot that image of Bridge Guy that has been publicly released and was out there with all of the requests for information and stuff. It's still out there, I think, on the FBI's website. So the raw Bridge Guy video, it's very difficult to see anything at all. It is clearly a surreptitiously taken video because most of the time the phone is pointed at the ground, or it's moving, it's pointed to the side. It's not focused on any subject. So it's only for a very brief period at the beginning that the phone pans up and you can see Abby on the bridge, and it's an instant before the phone rotates and it comes back down. It's focusing on the trees to the side for a while. It's focusing on the gravel. There is one point in time towards the end as it's focused on the gravel where you can see a pink shirt. It looks like Abby running by through the screen. And this is a point where you hear some comments from Libby. I could not hear most of these. It's very difficult to hear what's on the video. So all I was really able to pick up from it was Libby saying there's no trail here. But there are some other comments that are going on that I just wasn't able to discern exactly what it was. So that was the bridge. That was the first video. And you do also at the end you hear that guy's down the hill. You cannot see who it's coming from. It's not focused on anybody in particular. The second enhanced video is so different that it's almost hard to believe that it's the same thing. Like, it's so different to the point that I was wondering, like, did they use some kind of AI predictive process to fill in gaps or something like that? That the biggest distinction that is so noticeable is the amount of time that you are able to see Abby on the bridge. Because it's that critical time period where you see they're originally.
All right, Debbie, are you still there? Now they're saying there's two videos. One that is enhanced or cleaned up.
Abby and Bridge Guy are kind of, they're from the angle, they're like that. But as it changes, they shift, and so Bridge Guy, Abby's coming closer, and Bridge Guy becomes visible in the background. And so you see him take about 3 steps before the camera pans down. They both appear to be walking at a normal speed. Nobody is sprinting for the hills or anything like that. And then the rest of the video is largely the same. It is a little bit more stabilized. They did some sound enhancement on this one. It really didn't help my ability to be able to hear specifically what was being said. So that's really the main difference between the two videos, is the visibility of Abby and the Bridge Guy.
I mean, it sounds so strange, and it must be so confusing for the jury. It doesn't sound, for us, I mean, looking at this case, studying it for years, it's like, oh, okay, we expect something, and turn out that way it was a little confusing. The way Leah, he said, when they first showed it, she didn't know that was the Bridge Guy video. Like, oh, that's what we're looking at here. And you imagine the jury, like, wait, so this is the video of the Bridge Guy abducting these 2 girls. It seems a little bit unclear. I'd be even confused if I was on the jury, right? Mm-hmm. Do they have any questions about that?
Yeah, well, this jury has been incredibly attentive and engaged throughout this entire trial process. I have been extremely impressed with just the care that they have given to observe all of the witnesses very closely. Some of these exchanges, you can literally watch the jurors' heads like they're watching that ping pong match. They really want to see how everything is unfolding in this case. Indiana is also a state where the jury is allowed to ask questions of to deliberations, but we just don't have the ability to really be.
What happened in your live stream yesterday when you said, I think it was
that photo that was taken, it was posted on Snapchat of Abby on the Monon High Bridge. This is the last photo that was posted to Snapchat. It was on 2:07 p.m. And this particular photo, it can't be found on the phone, which is very peculiar. The other photographs from that day, they've been able to find them.
Wow, did you hear that, Debbie? The photograph that we seen of Abby on the bridge, or Libby, whatever girl was on the bridge, is not in the phone. All the rest of the photos are, but that photo of that day of her on the bridge is not in the phone. Let me replay that just so you can hear it. If you're still listening, or you might be chatting with Higginbottom Lane about the board game Masterpiece. But let me see what she said. I don't remember playing that one. No. All right, Debbie. If you hear this, did you hear what she was saying? The photo is not in the phone.
Either in the camera roll or in the Snapchat app. This particular photo is gone, and they don't have any explanation for it. So, what?
I wonder if that. If that photo might be in a server somewhere, like in their server or router, in Snapchat's router.
The original. The defense has introduced this photo, and they have purported it to be the original. We are still, of course, waiting for the defense case. We don't know where this is going to go. There's little drips and drabs of information, though, and hints about what's to come. One of those hints being the ability to recover deleted files from the phone. So I'm getting the suggestion that the defense maybe has been able to recover stuff that was deleted from the phone at some point in time. From this photograph, metadata was able to be obtained that showed the location at the time of that photo. The problem is that metadata is not precise. It shows a pretty large geographic area of about 1 mile. So this question, I think, was getting to just trying to problem solve that particular issue to try to get more.
Hello, Miss Duck and Felonies. It's been a while since we've seen you around here. We hope you're doing good. Pull up a chair. We're listening to Miss Grizzly True Crime and Miss Adrea Burkhart.
More clarity about this photograph, the circumstances under which it was created, and
I'm babysitting a yorky.
And help us make.
It's just me and little Debbie sitting here listening to this case.
Maybe come up with some kind of explanation for why it seems law enforcement wasn't able to find it, and just getting into some of the details about where that location data came from and how to understand it. Another question: as of February 15th, 2017, were you aware of any deleted photos or videos? This is inquiring a little bit more into, I think, the potential for shenanigans by law enforcement. If they were aware of deleted photos and videos, they would need to be asking, how did that take place? And we haven't heard anything about that from the witnesses who have testified so far. So it shows the jury is thinking a little bit ahead and anticipating.
Gee, Debbie, you think they would have let the professionals go through the phone and figure out everything. I wonder if defense did retrieve deleted stuff. Where is the original photo that was taken? If it was deleted, or was it even deleted or uploaded from another phone to that account?
Perhaps what's been hinted at, and inquiring as to whether this is just a product of inadvertence, they just overlooked it, or is there something more nefarious going on here? A very technical question.
This is what 5 pounds of body fat looks like. Want to lose this and more? Keep watching. Have you seen this guy? The one that says stop doing car.
understanding them on a fine level, and following up with that question that I myself had sitting there in the audience. Another question, did you ever photograph the locked screen to show notifications before the last access? This program that's used for this type of cell phone analysis, it had what was called a method 2 and a method 3 extraction. Those extractions would get some but not necessarily all of the information on the phone. And the Knowledge C database is one of these very important pieces of information that they did not know existed at the time. So their program was not set up in a way to be able to recover it. That changed in 2019. The new method 3 was able to extract this Knowledge C information. However, still in 2019, the Celebrite programming that parses that information and is able to make sense out of it did not necessarily recognize that Knowledge C existed. So Knowledge C is a database that includes a lot of information about the phone's operations. So while, for example, the camera roll will show the photo, the Knowledge C database will keep track of the information about when the camera was opened, the shutter, things along those lines. So a lot more hidden information about how the phone is being operated. So that question I thought was quite sophisticated, because at this point in the testimony, we had not learned about whether the.
What I'm interested in seeing is there's reports that someone tried to open the phone with a fingerprint, but it wouldn't open. Now, was there any kind of blood on me? I mean, was one of the girls trying to open the phone to call for help? Or was it the killer? Right? Did he find the phone? When he was undressing him or whatever? Or did he know there was a phone? Or did he know there was a phone right away and he took the phone and didn't realize it was recording and put it in his pocket, and maybe it recorded the whole thing? But they said there's been reports that someone tried to open the phone by fingerprint. So did this sicko try to open the phone? Did he realize something went bad? And he tried to take, after the girls were dead, and tried to take their fingers and put it on the phone to try and open it? Or did the video run? This is what I'm wondering. If he had possession of the phone and didn't know Snapchat was running, by golly, they could have 30, 40 an hour long recording, however long the phone, if it went dead, they're claiming it went dead or someone shut it off. They're saying he was there. This took place within an hour, 2 hours, the murders. So is it possible what we heard in the beginning through the grapevine of the DELPHI case was there was actually 30 minutes or 39 minutes of recording of Snapchat? I don't know. Did he try and get into the phone to shut it off, to stop the video? Did he? We don't know, but it'd be interesting to see. They said someone tried to open it with a fingerprint. Now, I don't know if that's true, but
they were ever able to recover anything from this Knowledge C export. They did do a method 3 extraction back in 2017 or 2018, but weren't able to read it because they simply didn't know it was there. So I remember at the
Are you
time I had
tired?
wondered, well, I wonder if they could rerun that same export through one of the newer versions of Celebrate that can pick up this information and then be able to access it. And as it turned out from a later witness, we learned that they did in fact do that. So the jury paying very close attention to these details, understanding them on a fine level, and following up with that question that I myself had sitting there in the audience. Another question, did you ever photograph the locked screen to show notifications before the last access? This again is the jury really thinking ahead, thinking outside the box. Brian Bunner was the first person who had access to the phone to be able to observe these things. And so, yeah, hadn't really thought about that, but that would be a very good piece of information to know what notifications were on the phone at the time, because that could potentially tell you more about the activity of the phone. They had questions as well for the second phone analyst, Christopher Cecil. Very good one. A big question in this case concerns Libby's phone disconnecting from the network the afternoon of the 13th and then suddenly reconnecting the following morning on the 14th. And the state has not been able to explain this. Their original explanation was that the phone had powered off on the 13th and lost signal, but that can't account for then it coming back to life the following morning. So still to this point, they don't have an explanation for that gap. The jury is thinking about this. And they asked Christopher Cecil, did you ever check to see if the tower had issues? What a great question. Seems like that should be an obvious thing to look at. If it's not maybe a problem at this end, maybe it's a problem at the other end. Did you ever investigate that?
I always thought that too. When she did go live on Snapchat or whatever it was she getting good signal? If she wasn't getting good signal, that might have interfered with the video quality and also recording quality. So if she wasn't getting good signal or the battery was low or something, it's possible the video was already messed up, meaning the video was already pixelated, was already distorted, saturated. It wasn't coming in clear. It was blurry, robot, and whatever you want to call it. That's interesting too. But see, that was a newer phone, right? This happened in 2017. They said the phones had really good cameras for that time. And it should have been footage that we would have been able to see pretty good. So I'm thinking maybe there was maybe a filter with Snapchat, maybe bad connection, interference with the signal, possibly. I would like to see this new video that Miss Burkhart is saying there's two videos. The one that we've been seeing, but now there's also another one that has been super enhanced and cleaned up and all that. Interesting.
Turns out they didn't. So the jury is paying attention to these details. When Officer Daniel Doolin, the Department of Natural Resources officer, who was the first person who followed up on Richard Allen's self-tip back in 2017 and interviewed him, they wanted to know, when you first interviewed Richard Allen, what was his hair like? Very important, because we've heard so many competing descriptions about the individual that these different eyewitnesses saw that they believed to be Bridge Guy. And these descriptions conflict in many ways. The defense is certainly pitching Betsy Blair as the most credible of all of these witnesses. She's certainly, from a timing standpoint, the one that is most of interest, because she's the only one that has seen both a man on a bridge and Abby and Libby on the trail at the same time. So her observations are very precise, but she described the man that she saw as a man in his 20s, a younger man with brown poofy hair. So this interest in trying to evaluate the similarities between Richard Allen and Bridge Guy shows they're not just accepting people say it's Bridge Guy, and we think Richard Allen is Bridge Guy, therefore, these things add up. They're looking into the fine details for themselves.
Interesting. Interesting. What do you think, Debbie? I don't know. Either there was more than one person there, and they were either lookouts or they were maybe there to help to lead people away or whatever from the scene. But it could be possible it is Richard Allen, and he came prepared, meaning maybe he did walk in and look like something totally different, right? But when he left, it's possible that he put a wig on and a different hat. Maybe to confuse people, possibly. But we're getting descriptions, not one, but 2, 3 witnesses or whatever that say they've seen different people there. And when you have a discrepancy like that, and they're saying they've seen 2 people or 1 people, and it ain't matching what other people, the other witnesses are saying, then automatically there was more than one person there. Now, whether they were involved, we know this much. There was more than one man there. Now, who's the younger person with puffy hair? That might be the guy they already arrested in St. Louis. Now, that was on the news. Supposedly, he spent a little time out here in Indiana, and he scoot boogied to St. Louis and got busted. Now, that dude did have poofy hair, and he was young. So that's possible, and I forget the guy's name. This was probably 4 years ago, 3 years ago, or whatever. I seen that. I seen a video where they did show a younger dude with puffy brown curly hair, saying that they thought that he was maybe possibly there that day, and he might have very well been. But I think they got him on something. Either they got him on something or he was killed or something, but in St. Louis or something. I don't know, maybe, or Minnesota or something like one of them two. I don't know. A lot of suspects in the case. A lot of sketches. You got 4, 5 sketches, all different. Here's the thing, these dudes down there were talking about they belong to a crew or a club or a gang. For all we know, the gang, club, crew, whatever they were talking on social media, whatever they were getting initiated into, like Greeno was talking, there could be 100 of them. There could be 50, 100, 200 of them. I mean, who knows? You know, you don't know how big the club, gang, whatever it is, their calling they were down there. Organization, pedo ring, whatever. And a lot of people don't realize these crews do dabble and stuff like that because it makes them money. So they do stuff like that, sell drugs and stuff like that. So pretty crazy if you ask me. I mean, we've seen so many videos of different people that were suspects. And when you have the government, like before Delphi, they were saying there's a problem with these clubs, gangs, pedos, all that. In Indiana, it kind of makes sense of what the government was saying, that it's a giant ring. They all run together. Usually they do, right? These people stick close to each other or whatever. Like a crew would do, like a mafia crew or a biker crew or gang or whatever, tight group of guys. So usually even these pedo rings or drug rings are the same way. So it's possible that there was many. Boy, look at her just sleep away. She ate. She was good today. But I think she is out like a light. What do you think, Dad? I think she's going to have another peaceful sleep tonight. She's even laying on her back, flipped over. Not very many people can get close to her to even pet her. They should be very, very lucky, proud. She's ornery. I've seen her go after horses, Amish horses. I've seen her go after the UPS man. I've seen her act adorable and lovable in the owner's arms. And the mailman reach out to pet her and pull back a stump. I should be lucky that I get to pet her and she feels comfortable. As you can see, her teddy bear that she has is all tore up, her face. God bless her. Yeah, most people would have been dead already, being locked in a room with her by themselves. So I am one of the lucky ones. She looks like a little fox or wolf. She sticks her head up. I wonder if them chimes are making her sleep better, or if they're aggravating her. Anybody know anything about dog therapy? Comment in chat if you do. I wonder if she's enjoying it. She's sleeping. She's out. Her eyes are rolled back in in her head. Right? Got that zombie look. They're just white, Debbie. If I showed you right now, it's horrifying. It's almost like a demonic demon is taking over. Her eyes are rolling in the back of her head. She's now cold. She doesn't look aggravated. Nah, not right now. She ate. She pooped. She came walking over by me. I petted her for a few minutes, and then she waddled to her bed there, and that was it. But with her heavy schedule, I mean, she's got a pretty busy schedule. You can expect this from a Yorkie. Oh. Debbie, how about a fire video tonight? What do you think, or is that too much? Maybe we'll end this video. We'll do a fire video because she's tired. I'm going to shut the lights down. Let her sleep. Maybe have a fire. Maybe not. Today is Sunday. Lord, thank you for this day. Forgive us for our sins. All glory goes to God. Amen. We'll go until an hour, Debbie.
Great question for the Carroll County Prosecuting Attorney Investigator Steve Mullen. He is the one who obtained the surveillance video from this Hoosier Harvest store that captured the cars going by on the road right in the vicinity of where the trailhead is, where Abby and Libby used, and just kind of provides access to that general area. They have located a car that they are asserting is Richard Allen's 2016 black Ford Focus at 1:27 p.m. on that camera. The question from the jury: did you investigate how many 2016 Ford Focuses were registered to Carroll County residents? Again, what a great question. The significance of this one particular car, it matters a lot more if it's the only one in the area. If every other person has one, then it doesn't matter. You can't see the license plate, you can't see the driver, so it's hard to know what kind of conclusions to draw from it, and that type of information, it would be enormously helpful in deciding how significant this is. No, they did not investigate how many 2016 Ford Focuses are registered to Carroll County residents. Many questions for Melissa Oberg, the firearms analyst. I picked out a few of the ones that I thought were the most compelling. So her analysis, she testified that the cartridge casing that was found at the crime scene, it had been cycled through a firearm at least 3 times, but had not been fired through. So that means it had been taken into the chamber and ejected from the chamber at least 3 separate times. And we know this because it has 3 separate sets of markings from the ejector and from the extractor of the firearm. When she did her testing at the lab, she took sample ammunition, she loaded it into Richard Allen's gun, and she cycled it through so that she could create marks to be able to compare to the bullet at the scene. That's a pretty standard way of doing this type of comparison. But the problem was she was not able to replicate the marks that existed on the cartridge from the scene. What she got was essentially faint impressions that weren't suitable for any type of comparison. So then what she did is she fired some test rounds through the gun. The process of firing causes the shell casing to expand slightly in the chamber. It creates a better contact with those parts of the gun, and so her theory was these are essentially the same thing. It just gives you a better impression of those markings. I have some questions about whether we can say these are really the same things for a variety of reasons. But nevertheless, that's how she did her analysis. So the jury's question, the first question was, would the force of the cycling change the depth and consistency of the markings produced? In other words, how hard and fast you rack the slide, does that affect the markings you're going to get? And that I thought was a great question, trying to reconcile this information and make sense of.
Are you okay, sweetie? Are you tired? You tired? Yeah? No, she just winked at me. She's so adorable. Well, I wish every woman in my life was so cute.
Why perhaps she wasn't able to replicate the markings that are on the bullet that they're claiming came from Mr. Allen's gun. Is there a way to determine? Okay, let me back up before I ask this question. One of the items of evidence that was.
I'm eating a piece of pizza and she's looking right at me. Debbie, she is eyeballing this piece of pizza. I know she's upset at me.
Was seized from Richard Allen's home when they searched it back in October of 2022 was a similar make and model cartridge, an unspent cartridge that was contained in what they described as a hope box in his home. And so it's the same Winchester 40 caliber Smith & Wesson ammunition. This is not a particularly uncommon brand of ammunition. Like you can buy it in Walmart in the United States and a lot of places. So the jury's question here was, is there a way to determine if the crime scene bullet and the bullet from the hope box came from the same lot? In other words, were they produced at the same time, therefore more likely to be in the same case, the same box of ammunition? That would just make it far more likely that that there is a connection between the 40 Winchester found at the scene and the 40 Winchester found at Mr. Allen's home. And it's not just, this is an extremely common, form of type of ammunition, and lots of people might have it somewhere. They also asked if those two bullets were compared to each other. She did not testify about this in her direct examination. And I do wonder what the jury made of her answer, because she said, yes, she did. And the bullet that was found in the hope chest did not have, I believe it was an extractor mark. One of the marks that was produced in all of the other formats, all of the other testing that was done with this cartridge. So that just raises a big question again now about the provenance of this 40 Winchester cartridge. And
Interesting. So Debbie, I have a question for you, because people do call you the dog whisperer. Do dog like relaxing sounds? We're going to end this video at an hour, which is 5 minutes away. I'm going to turn the lights down. Oh, what's wrong, sweetie? What? Is your nose itching you? Boy, I'll tell you, her face today, her hair is going everywhere. She looks like a wild lion. She's a hot mess today. I don't know. After this, they might have to take her to the groomer again or something. I don't know. She's just looking all lion-like or something. Some kind of little fox. I don't know. I know the baby. Oh my God, look at her monster. What? Go away. She's waving or something. Is that a sign? Was that Debbie? It could be trespassing on the dog. Hey, duck and felonies. What do you think? Debbie. Yes, they also love massaging and yoga. Dogs? Dogs love yoga? Are you sure? A massage, probably, but I'm not sure about that, Debbie. I'm not sure. Look at her teddy bear. It's all ripped up. I don't want to get too close to her like that. Look at the face. It's all gnarly. I don't know if I want to. I don't know if I want to go that far with this whole yoga thing. I've never seen a dog do yoga. Let me see what duck and felony is saying. My dog likes your voice and wind chimes. He's sleeping. Oh, poor little guy. Bless his little heart. I would do one of my dog calls, but then he would jump up and twist his head up and, huh? What Johnny said? Because I do speak dog. I know. I know. What are you doing? Is it time for bed? Yes? Time for bed? All right. And she's licking her chops. As soon as I close my eyes, it's all over with for Johnny. I have a little Yorkie wrapped around my neck. Oh my God, what is it? It's your hair. It's all over you today. Look at your face. You're messing up your hair. Oh no, it lives. It is woken from its deep hibernation. Oh my God, what was that? I'm not even sure this is a Yorkie anymore. I'm really not. No, you flip back over and go night night. All right, we are coming up on 1 hour here, ladies and gentlemen. Debbie, what do you think? You ladies in for a fire tonight or no? You ladies want to try and shoot for a fire tonight, or hey pterodactyls, how's everything going out there? How's college going? Oh wait, that was the wrong lady. That was Pickles, right? Debbie said yes. Yes, what? Fire, Debbie? Ain't she adorable? I probably would take her, but only because I'm the only one that's really allowed around her. I'm the only one that has security clearance and enough cojones to babysit her because I'm telling you, she is a handful. She don't like nobody coming around. If she hears the littlest thing, she hears a dog barking or me doing a video and acting like a dog, she right away jumps up, starts barking. She hears anything out in the hall, she's right away on it. And mail people, there's a there's actually a poster of her in the mailroom. Beware. She looks like this on camera, all lovable and all, but off camera is totally different. And I try and explain that to a lot of these people, the difference between on camera and off camera. And what you see now is lovable Sophie. But once I shut the camera off, it's whining, crying until I give her something or put her on my lap or rub her tummy. Oh well. She's Debbie, she's continuing to try and get in my bed at night. But my bed is too high for her to jump up onto. But she keeps trying to get in my bed at night. And I refuse it. I will not let her sleep in my bed. All right, we are at 1 hour. You ladies have a great night. God bless. We might do a video in the morning before she has to go back tomorrow with her. So you might see her one more time on my channel. Continue to watch the Sophia Yorky content on my channel. You can't even, for one, this dog is so high strung, high class. You can't even get that Chicago blanket. And that Chicago blanket was made for her in 1984, 86 when we won the Super Bowl, when Chicago won the Super Bowl. And they donated it to her. I mean, she's so incredible. She stole the men's hearts all over the world. You ladies and gentlemen, have a great night. God bless. Talk to you later. And Debbie, you said fire tonight. We'll talk about it. Send me a message if you want to do a fire. Pterodactyls. We might be back here later on tonight. Maybe a half hour. Debbie, what time you want to do fire? Let me know. I don't know. Maybe we'll be back about half hour. Keep your eyes out, pterodactyls. For a live tonight. Nice warm fire and chilling. All right, I want to thank everybody, even the troll. I don't want him to be left out. Thank Lame or Miss Higginbotham. It's time for night, Sophie. I'm going to shut all the lights off and you can go night. All right. God bless America. All glory goes to God. Heal me, Lord. Forgive me for my sins. And tomorrow is a new day. Amen.